Hi there, welcome to Creating a Future We Want. Yes, go right ahead.
This is our learning series. I am Cora. This is
Kiara.
This is
I'm Matt.
and the project that we're doing is
30 days in the garden. Wait, no. Yeah. Adaptive action.
All of the words are in there.
Right
Do you guys ever watch these videos?
No.
We probably should change that. Yeah, so this is sort of how we homeschool. Project we're into right now is what is a garden? 30 days of adaptive action. Adaptive action is a powerful, deceptively simple process of our praxis, right? It's our guiding, our structure for our praxis of engaging with questions like, what is a garden? A question to which there isn't any obvious and only answer. Oh, you squish our little baby basils, don't you? So, a garden is resilient. Clearly, that is our opinion here. So, our question today is about boundaries. Um, well, adaptive action consists of 3 questions, and those 3 questions are...
What, so what, and now what?
Yeah, so the first, what? What are the boundaries in the garden? So we're going to start out with our what. And I want to just ask you, Cora, what is a boundary?
a boundary is a place or something that keeps well, our garden has a boundary. It has a fence, which is a type of boundary that keeps the deer bunnies from coming in. And yeah, that's one of the boundaries. Like when you find your boundaries, like I did when I tried to do a trick on my bike, I fell and I found my boundary, that boundary.
Whew. This is a pretty rich answer there. I'm going to have to pass this off to my daughter. Kiara, thank you, Cora. It's beautiful.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm. Kiara, what is a boundary? When you hear this word, boundary, like what comes to mind?
Well, I think of like a wall or like a fence keeping something in or keeping something out.
Thank you. What are some of the boundaries that we see or perceive in the garden here?
Well,
Or what's one? We'll go to you next, Cora. What is a boundary that we perceive in the garden?
well, we made the beds so that the plants don't grow out and grow in the whole entire yard. They stay in the...
If we lean aside, we can show. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Yep.
like the beds so and the plants don't grow out of it.
Okay. Cora, what's a boundary that you perceive in the garden?
Well, when we first saw our eggplant leaves, some of the leaves of one of our eggplants, they had thorns on them, and that's the boundaries for the bugs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The bugs see them and say, "Oh, dearie, dear, I don't want to go there. Sharpie, sharp.
So, so the plants are in some of their defenses against pests or predators, perhaps animals that would feed on them. The plants create boundaries that would, in a sense, defend themselves against something from eating them. Yeah, okay, that's a good one. Wow. Okay, now that adds a lot of new dimensions to the types of boundaries we might be perceiving. Kiara, when you look at the eggplant here, or the pepper, or the soil, what other boundaries might we perceive with any of our senses?
Hmm. Hmm. I don't know. Let's see. Well, there are the boundaries of like um, the soil is like um, sort of, oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah, it can be I think what's happening right there is you were going down many different paths of thinking about different types of boundaries, and I asked a question that was very open. One boundary I'm sort of looking at here is just plant and not plant. Sort of like, the boundary that like the plant is reaching out its roots. At some point, there's some boundary at which the plant's roots cannot go any farther because of whatever. There's not enough nutrients or water, or it's not getting enough sunlight to send enough energy to those roots to keep growing. There are so many. Cora, when we were walking out here, what boundary did you talk about in relationship to the deer?
Our fence.
Yeah. One question I want to ask you all, what is the same both inside and outside of that fence?
There's grass.
Grass? Okay, what else is the same inside and outside the fence, Cora?
There's air.
Air. Yep. When it rains, does it rain the same amount inside the fence as outside, or different amounts?
Same amount.
Okay. Now I want to ask you, what is different inside and outside of this fence?
Well, outside of the fence, there's no wall around it, but inside of the fence, there's the fence.
Okay.
And there's no trees in here except for our used to be here tomato plants, and right here we have an eggplant tree, and our eggplants look like baby trees right now.
Yeah, they are getting taller than me. Did you have a difference that you want to, something that's different inside and outside of this boundary, this fence?
Well, outside it's sort of more wild, like the branches and bushes and trees just grow on their own, and inside all the plants except for the grass, we've grown. We've put it in the soil and seeds have grown.
There's more control inside than outside. We're using a lot of energy to exert some control over this space, this physical space. Yeah. Okay, we're using a lot of energy to keep control. Okay. Let me ask. So what are we? Well, one more question here. So what boundaries does the rabbit perceive?
Well, it sees the fence around the garden so that it can't get in. Boundaries, like it doesn't try to go into houses. It knows the boundaries, and to not go close to humans.
How about, hey Cora, the rabbit, what boundary does it perceive when it gets near the pond over there?
Well, it sees there's water. It can't go in.
Haven't seen any bunnies swimming. Swimming bunnies, not a thing yet. Not a thing. They just don't know about it.
And
they haven't had swimming lessons.
And also, when the bunnies see the smell, the is it coyote urine? Is that it?
Sure, yeah. That and dragon urine I use to repel bunnies and deer.
What? Don't listen to him.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're getting to be pretty proficient at that particular skill. So, Question: what boundaries does the dragonfly perceive in relation to this garden?
Hmm. The dragonflies don't like land on the ground, maybe? Like I don't see them land on the. I've never seen a dragonfly land on like the ground. I've seen it land on plants and things.
That's interesting. I see the dragonflies. You're right. They stay up. What's one of their most? So what's one of the most powerful? The superpower of the dragonfly. What's one of its superpowers?
Eyes.
Its
Yeah,
eyes.
its eyes.
80,000 facets to its compound eyes. They haven't. So if you're a dragonfly, I love that. There's some boundary in the um, height that they would want to position themselves as a predator. They wouldn't want to put themselves flat against the ground because that reduces the use of their superpower.
Yeah.
Another being their flight. Their flight and their eyes. They're like insanely good at these things. So, what? We're gonna close this out. We could talk about this forever. I love this subject as I've clearly shown because I'm talking too much. Cora, now what would you tell a friend of yours or a grandma and grandpa about boundaries in the garden? To explain to them boundaries in the garden.
I would explain them about the fence, the eggplant leaf, as I told you, and yeah.
Kiara, so what would you tell someone in order to describe and explain the significance of boundaries in the garden?
Well, that there are a lot of boundaries. We don't notice them. Like, we don't think, oh, the dirt and plants, they're boundaries. More think of the fence as a boundary. So we can tell them all the different types of boundaries, like between the bed and the grass, or the plant and the dirt, and dragonfly and the ground.
I love that. Us spending more time understanding what the various boundaries are, what they're composed of, what they keep in, what they keep out, how we can affect them. I think this is going to be very important to our capabilities to navigate to creating a future we want. Not assuming we can see them all or perceive them all with our eyes or our ears, but with all of our senses to perceive the boundaries that are affecting our behaviors and the behaviors of others. I'm Matt Keene. Thanks for visiting Creating a Future We Want, the Hour Learning Series. What is a garden? We'll be back with more very soon. Do you have something you want to say?